पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. We missed our last session because it was too close to Diwali. So let me also wish you very, very happy Diwali. Wish you good health and happiness in the coming year. And we shall continue on our journey of Mundaka Upanishad. We are in the last part of Mundaka Upanishad, that Mundaka 3 and part 2. Now, we briefly looked at the first two mantras, but I think it's worth looking at them in slightly deeper way. So we will start from here. The first mantra of second part of third mundak. Savedta parma brahmadham yatra viswam nihitam bhati subram upaste purusam yekrama iste sukramet vardanti dhira. कि वह पुरुष इस परम विशुद्ध ब्रह्म धाम को जान लेता है. सबसे पहले जान लेता है. How do you know that? That the person who knows this, the divinity, the supreme divinity Brahman. Now, in the previous mantras we saw that it's very difficult to know him. He cannot be grasped by your mind. Manan nahi kar sakte. It cannot be grasped with your eyes. You cannot see him. You cannot hear him. You cannot taste him. You cannot touch him. So how do you know him? So they gave certain, requirements, particularly that Satyam, Brahmacharya, Samyak Gyan, and a sort of rigorous tap to acquire all these qualities, and then to know the Brahman. So once you have done that and you are able to realize the supreme soul in your own self, because that supreme soul actually resides in your own heart. So once you are able to realize that enormity, that whatever is residing in your heart, whatever is keeping you alive, whatever is the source of your life, that source is the same source which is the Brahman, which is pervading the entire universe. So that is the meaning of reaching the Brahmadham. Brahmadham doesn't mean that you have to go somewhere and open the door and get into that. It is not that. It is basically the realization of the fact that the same supreme spirit which is pervading the entire universe, which is there everywhere, is also residing in your own self. And once you know that, then you have reached that Paramdham. That is what it means. Then it says कि जिसमें संपूर्ण जगत स्थित हुआ है. That is what we know, that we have seen it everywhere, that the entire universe is established in that supreme soul. Whatever manifestation we see in this world, in this universe, is coming out of that avyakt, non-manifest part, and that non-manifest is the Brahman. So he is pervading the entire universe. Actually, the entire universe emanates from him. And then whatever, we can see and feel and hear in this universe is actually originating from him. And then if you are, able to respect that kind of person without any desire, akama, without any desires, and you surrender to this kind of person, then you are called wise person. So there are two things here. One is that the person who has actually realized the supreme in his own self. We call him Sant in our own, terminology, in Sanskrit terminology. He is called Sant, that he has reached that stage. He has attained samadhi. So he has become one with the Brahman. So that is one facet. The other is the rest of the people. If rest of the people are able to respect that and surrender to that kind of person without any desire, akama, then those people are wise. So here the mantra is telling us that if we find any sant in this world, a person who has become one with the Supreme, then we should go to him, we should accept him as the Supreme and actually surrender to him. That would mean that we would be also able to transcend this universe. We will also able to transcend the cycle of birth and death. So this is what this first mantra is. So it actually defines the qualities of the person who has reached the Brahma, or who has become one with Brahma, and then the instructions for the remaining part of the population, that how you can attain the same state of samadhi or same state of becoming one with the Supreme. Now let's go to the second mantra. कामान ये कामयते मन्यमाने से कामार बिजायते तत्र तत्र. Fascinating that the person desiring to have more and more desire, more and more, vasana or desires. You want to have more and more things to acquire happiness in this world. Those people are actually reborn in different places according to their vasanas, according to their desires. Now this is actually happens in our real world, in our own life. Let's look at our own life. Now somebody desires to buy a shirt, so he will go to a shopping plaza. The desire of buying a shirt takes him to a shopping plaza. He looks for the shirts in different shops and picks up one. Then he wants to buy a watch. Then he goes to another shopping plaza. He picks up a watch, comes back. So the watch took him to the watch shop. The desire for the shirt took him to the shirt shop. Then somebody wants to go and see a film. Then he will go to a film theater and he will watch the film. Then somebody wants to go and travel to mountains. So he will, go to the mountains and travel there. So that desire will take him to the mountains. So every single day, if we analyze our life, we are driven by these vasanas. We are driven by these kamas. We are driven by these desires. These desires drive our life every single day in this life. So the same principle applies after the death. The people who still have certain desires to fulfill at the time of death, then they will be driven by those desires in the next birth, because the same principle would apply to them as the principle applies in this life. So there's nothing unusual about this. If we analyze our life, every single day we are driven by desires. So if we can establish one single desire, which has been referred earlier, to attain unity with the Supreme, then that desire will ultimately take us there. So the mantra tells us that don't get into too many, this world of Maya, the world of desires. Otherwise, you will be rotating from one place to another. You are, going to one place, coming back, then going to another, then coming back, going to third, then coming back. This will keep happening throughout your life and beyond life. So if you want to get rid of it, then the best thing is to have one single desire, and that desire is to become one with the Supreme, one with Brahman. And if you have that desire, you are driven by that desire, then ultimately you will reach that stage. And then you will not be coming back in the cycle of birth and death. So this is what it says. Then it, in the second part of this, mantra, it says that those people who have fulfilled all their desires in this world, who have no more vasanas of running into this world, going from one place to another, to third, to fourth. If we have actually finished all those desires, then you can become one with the Supreme. So this is the crux of this, that we have to ultimately, contain, not only contain, we have to ultimately burn all our desires in this world. So long as the desires of the world continue, we will continue to be propelled by those desires into different sections of this world, and beyond this world you will be reborn again to fulfill the remaining desires. So the desires have to be burnt, and burning of those desires are possible only when you have only one single desire, that is desire to become one with the Supreme. Then you will ultimately reach Him. Then all your, desires will be fulfilled. You will attain purity. Because once your desires are fulfilled and you have no more desires, then it is called real purity. You attain Visuddhi inside your own self. You have no Vikriti. There is no, movement inside. In fact, it's similar to what Sthit Pragya has been mentioned in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's similar to that. That once you have fulfilled all your desires, your mind has been stabilized, you have no more vasanas, then ultimately you can establish yourself with the Supreme and you become one with Him. So this is what these two mantras tell us. Now, the importance of desires is very, very, significant. In Bhagavad Puran, or Srimad Bhagavatam as we call it, has also been mentioned. There was a king, very, not the recent Bharat, but Bharat in the, very, very ancient time, who was a very great king. And, the name of India comes from these names, that great king of ancient time, Bharat, and then Bharat, the younger brother of Ram. And then also there were some other, Bharats in the what we call Chandra dynasty, Moon dynasty. So all these names give the name of our country, Bharat. So that Bharat, he was, got into a very deep love with the deer in some context. And he was a very, spiritual person, but still he was reborn as a deer. And then he realized what he was able to recollect his past lives, and he realized what he has done. And then he changed his lifestyle, and, all his desires, finally, he brought them to an end. And then he attained moksha. After birth as deer, he was again reborn as Jad Bharat. Its called name is Jad Bharat. And then Jad Bharat ultimately attained moksha. So that story also tells us that the desires are the root cause of our rebirth. Similarly, exactly the same way as the desires keep driving us in this world. In this world, we are all the actions we take, they are based on the desires. So in this context, we should also remember the very famous, part of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where it has been told that the thoughts which come in your mind, if you keep thinking about them again and again, then they become your desire. And then when you think about desires, then those desires become your will. And when it becomes your will, then you act on them. And that action actually becomes your life. The whole life, you are taking those actions according to your will. And ultimately, the relationship between the thoughts and the life is that the thoughts are driving your life. Thoughts are determining your life. Thoughts are determining your action. So exactly the same thought has been mentioned here, that we must get rid of these desires. They are infinite. They will continue forever. One desire gives birth to another. And sometimes, in fact, multiple desires are born out of fulfilled desire. You fulfill the desire to have you know, a new car, then you will have desires to have multiple cars, and then higher level cars, and then you will have desire to have a helicopter, and then maybe a private jet, or maybe something else, or something else, something else. So those are never ending processes. Those are processes which grow in geometric progression. So here the lesson of this mantra is that the desires will keep driving us, not only in this world, but also beyond the world. And we will be born again and again in those places and those times where we can fulfill our remaining desires. And therefore, we will keep loitering in the cycle of birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth. So if you want to get rid of that, then you have to get rid of your desires, you have to burn them and attain Visuddhi. Visuddhi, the two words here is Paryapta Kamasya, that you have finished all your desires. And then what you call is you attain Kritatman. Kritatman is you end of all your desires. You attain that. That means you attain Visuddhi, and then you can reach the Supreme Soul. So this is a process which we can attain in our own life. We reduce our desires one by one. And once we reduce them to zero and surrender ourselves to the Supreme, then we can reach the Supreme without any problem at all. So it's a very simple method, but in practice it's not that simple, because getting rid of desires is not that easy. Sometimes your friends, sometimes your neighbor, sometimes your children, sometimes your spouse, sometimes somebody else in the society will force you to do certain things, and then you keep doing those things and you get into another cycle of events. Like if you join one organization, then that organization will ask you to do something. Then once you do those things, then they will ask you to do more things, and those who are performing well, they will be required to do more and more and more. So this cycle continues. So at some stage one has to stop and say goodbye all to these desires, and then be established in one's own self, and then is the simplest way to reach the Supreme. Now next mantra: Nayatma pravachnen labhyo न मेधाय न बहुना श्रुतेन. They're very beautiful. Nayatma pravachnen labhyo. You cannot attain the Supreme through pravachans. If you keep listening to pravachans all the time, it will not enable you to reach there. You won't be able to reach the Supreme. Pravachan, like we are, indulging in that exercise. Just listening the pravachan will not help. One has to change according to the previous mantra. One has to reduce the desires in the first stage and then slowly, slowly bring them to zero and surrender to the Supreme. And for that, you have to attain the path of Satya, Tap, Brahmacharya, and Samyak Gyan. That path is required to attain those what we call Vasna Vihin state. So only pravachan will not enable us to reach the Supreme. This is what it says. Then it says, na medhya na bahuna sruten. Medhya. Medhya means medha, buddhi. By thinking in your mind alone, you cannot reach him either. You can do debates inside your own mind. You can, like, the Western philosophers, they keep debating and they write big philosophical, books. Those are not helpful at all. Those are based on your intellectual debate inside your mind. Those will not help you. And bahuna sruten, and if you keep listening to them again and again and again and again, none of them will help. So pravachan will not help. The contemplation in the mind alone, in your mental state, in your megha, in your vivek, will not help. And listening to those things and again will not help. What will help is to imbibe them, to make them part of your life. Like somebody wants to learn swimming. He keeps all the literature, he brings all the literature, goes to a beautiful, library, or goes on internet, downloads all the literature on swimming, how to swim. But he reads them all. He spends a lot of time reading them. He, debates in his mind. Now that will not make him swim. You have to ultimately go to a swimming pool and, start doing something there. Then only you will learn. So the swimming is actually an action which you have to take in the swimming pool, not in your mind. Yes, the exercise will help you. You know how to go about it, so you can learn, some literature, but then ultimately you have to go there. So the same logic applies here, that we can learn through pravachan what is, life and how it works and how we can attain the Supreme, how we can get rid of this cycle of birth and death. But then this exercise alone and, contemplation on that alone in your mind will not help. Ultimately, we have to dive into that process. And diving of that process is the tap. We have to take, a determined stand to get rid of all the desires. Now, that is what has been said in these three mantras so far. And then it says that this alone will not help. What will help is yame vaisya vranute ten labhya. जिसको vranute, स्वीकार कर लेते. This varan shabd is very important. We know the varan in the ancient times, the would-be bride will decide on the varan whom she wants to marry. Now that was a commitment that once you are married for the whole life. So here the same word has been used, that once you take the Supreme as varan, that I am going to marry with that Supreme alone. He is only, what we call the final outcome that I want. That is the only lakshya. That is the only target for me. Then alone you can reach him. So it says here, जो वरन को स्वीकार कर लेता है, लक्ष्य प्राप्त कर सकता है. the person who has taken a determination to reach the Supreme and accepted the Supreme as Varan, as the final target, as the final destination of his life, then the Supreme reveals himself to him. This revelation happens with the what you call blessings of the Supreme. It doesn't happen with our effort. Ultimately, the Supreme has to give us the blessing, then only we can reach there. But the path to that blessing is important. That path requires us that determination first, that we have to attain him. Secondly, we have to get rid of all other desires. We have to burn all other desires. And in that process, we have to follow the Satya, we have to follow Tap, we have to follow Brahmacharya, we have to acquire Samyak Gyan. And in this order, we can actually reach the Supreme. So only the pravachan, only the, all these spiritual talks, only the contemplation in the mind and in the intellect, and repetition of all these mantras will not help. They are important, but they have to be put to practice. Like a swimming literature cannot teach you swimming. You have to go and ultimately, practice in the swimming pool. Similarly here, one has to, take a determined stand that I have to reach the Supreme. The Supreme should be your Varan. That should be your target. That should be your only desire. That I want nothing but that. And once you have attained that, single-minded desire, single-minded determination, then the Supreme will himself reveal to your own self, and then you will be able to reach it. So this is, the process. And this process has been amplified in this Upanishad, in this part. So now a few things we should understand, before we wind up today. The first thing is that the desires are the root cause of whatever we are doing in this world. In the current life, if we analyze our life, we will find that desires are driving us from one place to another. Okay, today we want to have lunch in this restaurant, we will go there. Tomorrow we want to do this shopping, we will go there. Third day we want to buy gold ornament, we go to a gold shop. Next day we want to travel to a mountain place. Next day we want to travel to Europe. All those desires will drive us in this life. Similarly, in the next life, the desires will keep driving us in those places where we remain unfulfilled desires. So the desires have to be burnt. That the word which has been used here, paryapt kamasya, that you have to finish those desires. The desires have to be completely, have to be completely over. No desires are left in us. That is one part. In this process, we have to follow those four mantras, that is Satya, Tap, Samyak Gyan, and Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya basically means a regulated life, a life which is completely, free from all the vasanas and well regulated. So you have to fulfill your essential body needs, but desires are beyond that. In economics, they call them needs and wants. So needs are those which are required for maintaining the body, like the food and the water and the shelter and sleep. Those are the basic requirements. But then desires are beyond that. So those desires have to be finished. So the path is very clear here. And then it says that only listening this kind of thing and thinking about them in mind will not be helpful. What is helpful is diving deep into the process. And that diving deep requires varan. Varan means you have to have single-minded determination to the supreme, that I want that only. That's nothing else. And once you have that determination and all other desires have finished, then the supreme yours himself or itself will reveal to you, and then you will be realized. Then you will feel that you are not the same person. You have become one with the supreme. Your your dimension has multiplied in infinite way. Because then you become supreme means you become infinitely large. Your thought process becomes infinitely large. And your entire habits, your the way you talk, the way you think, the way you discuss will be completely influenced by what we have said in our Sanskrit literature, that I am nij paroveti ganana lagu chetsam, that this is mine and this is yours. This kind of thinking is for those who have very small mentality. Udar charita nam tu vasudheva kutumbakam. Those who have larger thinking, for them the whole universe is one family. So that one family concept comes there. Once we have become one with the Supreme, then the whole universe becomes our family. So this is the way we can attain the Supreme. This is the way the Mundaka Upanishad ultimately reveals the way to reach the Supreme. As we know, this Mundaka started with a question from Rishi Sonak, and Rishi Angira is answering those questions. And finally, he is revealing this, that how you can how you can reach the Supreme, and he is the only force, or it is the only force whom we need to know. And by knowing this force, everything else will be known. This is what the Upanishad says. So this is very simple path. We can follow this. We can monitor our desires. We can reduce them to begin with. And slowly, slowly, we can overcome them. And we can reach the state what we call Paryapta Kamasya. That this is enough. I have done enough. Now I don't need to do anything more here. I need to. Then you have to do Varan with the Supreme. You Supreme come. He is the only one who I want. I want nothing but the Supreme. And then the things will change thoroughly and completely, because the Supreme itself will reveal you his dimension, and he will become one with you. So thank you very much. If any question, we will, try to answer. Thank you.